Hey now, welcome to Fitz's Electric Bar. I've got the maestro of humor, the guy that I listen to not just for music but for his witty wit, and it's Harris Pilton. I'll probably call you Paris Hilton at some point during this broadcast. I can't help
Everyone
myself.
else does.
Welcome, Harris.
Thank you very much, mate. How are you? All right.
I'm
Thanks for
good.
inviting me.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
well,
didn't.
I love your channel, and we're
Thank
obviously
you.
on opposite ends. So you're in the UK and I'm here in Canada. So I'm talking about noon, and you're what, 8 o'clock your time or something.
Yes, 8 o'clock at night here on a Monday. It's been a bank holiday, so we've had the day off. So yeah,
Nice.
it's been a lovely day.
Nice. So some of these questions will be things that you might have mentioned before, other people know, but I'm not going to assume anything. So, where are you based and when did you start your channel?
Where am I based? What, in England?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm in Southampton. So actually, about a mile that way, you can. This is where the Pilgrim Fathers left. And yeah, and I started my channel 2021, 4 years ago, January. I watched Steve Carlson. I think you know Steve, don't you?
I do.
And he did a really good video. It was like how to start a channel, and he made it sound quite simple. So yeah, I dived in and yeah, started my channel off the back of that, and it was a long crawl. So but
Cool.
I went to tell you, Pilgrim Fathers, mile and a mile that way, the last place Bon Scott ever played for AC/DC before he died. It was his last
Wow.
ever gig. So there you go, Southampton Guildhall.
So if I
So
borrowed from those two stories, do you sometimes make a pilgrimage to see where Bon Scott played?
I pass it every day, and I always think of it. Not that I'm an AC/DC fan particularly, but I always think of it. We do Death Weller here, you know. Titanic left, Bon Scott died, and of course the Blitz. Germany's flattened us. So death is a big thing in Southampton.
You know, there's another channel I don't know if you watch called This Sonic Obsession, and they're based out of Halifax, Eastern Canada. And I
I
met them
do.
last summer, Steve and John, and they took me on a tour of a cemetery which had a lot of the people that died in the Titanic that were pulled out, and they're just numbered graves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Little
yeah.
connection there.
Crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of history around here for it. Yeah, no, it's fascinating, fascinating.
Where did you come up with your moniker?
It was, it was a bit of it was a bit of an in joke. I think I was on a works do years ago, and I'm talking a lot of years ago. I was quite young, 20, and no, about 30 actually. And it was in a hotel, and there was a girl from another company who looked a bit like Paris Hilton, and it kind of we were getting on quite well, and then there was this. I was running around drunkenly asking if anyone's seen Harris Pilton or something like that. And it all bubbled up from there. And a lot of people used to take the mick out of me for it because I was the guy who was looking for Harris Pilton. And it kind of stuck with me anyway. Do you know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
I thought when I start my channel, I use that. But yeah, it all came from a drunken works do where, yeah, it's quite leggy blonde. It was on this. I stress it was a long time ago. I know it was an
Well, the
awful long
best
time ago.
the best names and monikers come from others taking the mick out of you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that.
Um, what has your experience been like having the channel, and in particular, what maybe has surprised you about having a VC channel?
Um, what's my experience? I mean, my experience has been good actually. It's I suppose I joined it in it was quite an interesting era. It was the COVID era. I can't remember Fitz when you joined. I think you were a little bit later than me, weren't you? Is that
I
right?
was
I was
later.
21. You
I was
22, 23.
23.
Yeah, so it was the time when everyone was sort of sitting around, not doing a lot. So I thought I'm going to get loads of views, and I didn't. And but I just really enjoyed it. Because I love talking about. I'm music mad. I've always been all my life, to be honest. And I'd done it. It took me 30 videos to get to 100 subs. But I could tell that people were quite enthusiastic. So I used to get some. You can tell when people are genuine in the comments, and people were like, "Man, I really enjoy your videos." It's easy to get depressed, isn't it? I think people do, but I used to think if 100 people are listening to, if I'm down the pub and 100 people are listening to me waffle on about what's your favourite Human League B side or something, that's amazing. So I'm quite a pragmatic guy, and I thought, well, 100 people, so I just kept going and going, and it kind of took off a bit, and now I get like 1,000 views, but it's been a great experience. I've really enjoyed it. I've slowed down on my videos. I kind of regret that, but life gets in the way a little bit sometimes. But the surprising thing is the social aspect. I'm quite a private-ish guy. I'm not, I choose my friends carefully, and I'm an only child. I like my own company, and I've made so many friends doing this. I mean, I met Norman Maslow. I got invited. He met up with John 6-inch. I think you know John 6-inch pianist. I'm guessing.
I do.
And Mazzy and him are kind of mates anyway. I didn't know Mazzy in the slightest. And John said, "Look, there's a few of us going. Do you want to meet up?" And we all met up. Rob Walker, a load of others, and it was just such a wonderful day. It really was fantastic. And
it's funny because, like, I feel like I know all of you guys because Mazzy was maybe the first channel I watched, and then I was following through, I guess, Mazzy's posts, you guys all meeting up in London. So that was like I'm already familiar with that whole meetup.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. On Friday, I've got a guy who's not on the VC, a guy called Paddy, and he just watched my channel, and he bumped into me one day, and he goes, "You're Harris Pilton." I'm like, "Oh." And I watched him DJ Friday night. He was DJing down the pub. He's a fantastic. He plays great music. I always say he plays everything from Can to Laura Branigan. He's brilliant. And so I've regularly watched him. There's a guy called Ed down the road. We meet up. It's been great, and it's all through this. And and everyone's so lovely. That I mean, people give me records as well. I'm sitting surrounded by records. It's so funny. But yeah, I mean, that has been a surprise. That was never even in my mindset. Because I say I'm quite private. I don't, and it's just been a lovely experience. I mean, people like you. I mean, we don't know each other, do we? Really?
We do not.
And
we do not. But
so it's nice. It's
I'll
like
be
a
looking
blind
you up
date.
when I come to London. I won't need to stay with you, but I will be looking you up.
You can't stay here, mate. It's like a rabbit hutch. Believe me. But I'd love to meet you. No, it'd be fantastic. Yeah. It'd be fantastic.
Okay, so let's jump into the 10 questions. So number one, what record are you listening to these days? Like what's kind of a front of your pile record that you're really enjoying? And don't show any records, just
cool.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, the record I've listened to most recently, funnily enough, is not very exciting. And I think you're possibly into them, is the Stranglers' Greatest Hits.
Oh, yeah.
I've always avoided the Stranglers. I don't know why particularly, but I've known of them because actually I was thinking today they're the most successful band to come out of punk in Britain. They just had top 10 after top 10 after 10. No one else can equal it. The Clash, the Sex Pistols would have, but they split.
Yeah,
the Buzzcocks, the Undertones, they all had. The Stranglers had about 9 top 10s out of the first, and I've been listening to it today and last week. I've loved it. I think it's fantastic. I don't know whether I'll explore the albums more. I mean, as I say, I've always known them, but yeah, I'm really enjoying the Stranglers, who I've just avoided for some reason all my life. I've no idea why.
That's cool. That's great. I absolutely love the Stranglers. It's not about me, but I just love the Stranglers. I got to meet Cornwell once, and it was a highlight. So,
really,
yeah.
A
favorite concert experience. Tell me about a favorite concert experience you've had.
Yeah, that was so. I went to see on my 21st birthday. I went to see Ride, and do you know the band Mercury Rev?
Yeah.
Mercury Red had just, and this was a big album in England. It wasn't probably in America. Your Self-Esteem. They were getting, well, it wasn't necessarily a big album in England, but it got Melody Maker. This is when the weeklies were selling 200,000 copies a week. It got Melody Maker Album of the Year. It came number 4, I think. And I think it's one of the greatest albums ever. I think it's one of the last great American alternative albums. Wow. And I saw Ride with Mercury Rev support, which was on my 21st birthday, and I was absolutely smashed. I was off my nut. And there was this guy, I told this story, there was a kid there, about 15 years old, selling a fanzine. And he goes, "We're in a band called the Jennifers. We're going to be huge." And I'm rolling my eyes. I'm like, "Yeah, mate, brilliant." He came from the same place as Ride, and Ride had allowed him to load up some of the gear and that. He was only about 15, 16. He was buying pints, by the way. It shows what England was like in 92. But we were having a drink, and I bought his fanzine, and it was quite good. And about 5 years later, I'm sitting in a room with a load of mates, and I'm watching Top of the Pops, and I'm like, "That's the guy. He's on drums. He was the drummer from Supergrass."
Wow.
You know Supergrass, right?
I don't know their music, but I know Supergrass. Yeah,
they were massive. It's a guy called Danny from Supergrass. So the guy that I've been chatting to with, I mean, it was an amazing gig anyway. And so I'm like, it's Danny from Supergrass, because Supergrass were almost as big as, say, Blur for a bit over here. And then he was dating Kate Moss. So I'm like, I've carved out a career in accounts, and this 15-year-old that I was taking the mickey out of is now in Supergrass and dating Kate Moss. But it was an amazing gig as well. Ride, are you like Ride or not? Do you know
I
Ride?
don't also know Ride all that well. Again, another band that I know the name of, but I don't know their discography.
Yeah, they were kind of a shoegazy thing, but again, they were a big deal. They were on Creation, and the Music Weeklies pushed them into the top 10. But Mercury Rev were amazing. And
I know
that's when they were
Deserter's song.
deranged. Mercury Rev were pretty deranged at the time. So it was an amazing gig. And I met Danny from Supergrass when he was 15,
That's
who later
awesome. That's
dated
great.
Kate Moss.
A favorite Bowie record of yours?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's easy. In terms of album, Hunky Dory. I think it's funny. I think it's great. I always think that Hunky Dory, I've got this theory. I was chatting about this the other day. Bowie to Hunky Dory is Neil Young to After the Gold Rush. I've got this theory. They're the album. They came out about the same time, right?
Yeah.
And to me, they're the albums that both artists were probably dreaming of making when they were young. Because Hunky Dory to me is the most Bowie album. It's that English, whimsical, eccentric. And After the Gold Rush, which I love, it's got that Neil Young album, which to me is the most Neil Young album. And I always think of them as a similar kind of thing. I don't know why. It's this theory I've got. But I love Hunky Dory. I think it just flattens every other Bowie album. And I like a few others, but it's that English thing. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Lyrically, it's amazing. It's just amazing.
One of the saddest songs ever.
Oh God, that is pretty tough. What saddest song ever? Well, you probably won't know this one. Do you know More Love by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles?
Well, I'm certainly no Smokey Robinson, but not More Love.
No, it's when he was in the Miracles and his wife Claudette had a miscarriage, and he wrote More Love, which is a lovely tune, by the way. It's one of, you should check it out. It was a single, and it's it's quite in a way uplifting, but the lyrics are basically him saying, I'm not gonna, obviously it caused problems, a lot of stress, and he said, I'll stick with you, blah blah blah. Sad to say, I don't think they did stick with each other later on. But it's kind of sad, but I suppose it's kind of uplifting as well. But it's one that's always got to me because of the backstory. But it's a great tune. It really is. And it's quite an outlier for that Motown period. It's got a really beautiful piano line goes through it. It's a wonderful song. It really is. I think it was released as a single. And
Thank you for that.
I find it sad, but kind of bittersweet, I suppose.
I'm learning from asking these questions that I think sad and joy can go closely together. So the second question is one of the most joyful songs ever.
Oh, okay. I mean, when it comes to sheer joy, for me, it's always got to be Casey and the Sunshine Band, who are one of my all-time favorite bands. I've been pushing. I always push Casey and the Sunshine Band. Their second and third albums. Like people always go for like Funkadelic, Parliament, James Brown, which are fine. They're good. And no one will look at Casey and the Sunshine Band. So something like Get Down Tonight, Casey. Yeah. Give It Up by Casey. I mean, they're the kings of the joyous song. But Casey and the Sunshine Band, man, you can buy their records for £2 or £3. And that band, they're so tight. They're ridiculous. And those second and third albums, the second one's the self-titled, and the third one's called Part 3. And honestly, they're two of the best albums. I've had people come in my comment section and gone, man, I'm so glad you steered me to these albums. But yeah, Get Down Tonight, I reckon, could be the one. Get Down Tonight.
Okay, so I'm going to paint you a scenario. I don't know if you live alone or with there others, but you come down to your stereo in the morning, you got a cup of coffee, there's no one around, everyone's left, the neighbors have left. You can put anything you want on first thing in the morning. What's the perfect first record of the day for Harris?
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. That's tricky because in a way, I'm not one of those listen at a time of day particularly, but I do it. I do it. So first, do you know American Music Club? Mark Eitzel?
Everything you're telling me these days, I know the band name, but I don't know them. That's Mark Kozelek, right?
No, Mark Eitzel.
Mark Eitzel. I get those two mixed up. Yeah,
but that's a good one. You're talking about Red House Painters.
Yes.
Aren't you? who are
Yes.
also a fantastic Sunday morning record. Mark Eitzel was in American Music Club. He was you'd really like him, I think. And they had an album called California. I think Mazzy's a big fan. I think Norman Masloff is. He was an army brat, but so he's from America, from San Francisco, I think. Ended up in Southampton, funnily enough, because army moves, and he lived down in Southampton between about the age of 11 to 16, then went back to America. But yeah, they're fantastic, American Music Club, and they've got an album called California, which really is. It's I don't know if people in the VC will know it or not. I've seen it shown a few times. It came out in about 88. And it's funny, it's not dissimilar to Red House Painters, who you were talking about. Sort of acousticy, spare, a little bit depressing.
I love depressing.
Yeah, there's a song called Western Sky on there, which is just wonderful. You need to check these out after you finish. You'll love it. But yeah, California by American Music Club is really wonderful. And I don't see it shown a lot in the VC. I have seen it. But
we'll check it out.
That would be a Sunday morning record for me.
Perfect. Thank you. One of the most underrated bands or artists ever.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Underrated band.
And again, from your perspective, not in terms of critical appeal or whatever.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Underrated band. Yeah, that's a tough one. Let's have a think. Oh God. Probably. I don't. Do you know what? It's a tough one.
You could take a pass if you want.
I'd have to think about it. Yeah, I might have to come. But that's a tough. I can't think of one. My mind is blanked completely.
So maybe as a stimulation, and maybe you're doing this anyways, but if you think about all the stuff that you really like and something that clearly does not get much attention from anybody else that you know of, it's not a big popular title.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of someone. I'm quite a big fan of. Well, actually, yeah, Red House Painters, who you mentioned. I think they are massively underrated. Although Mark, the first EP with the bed on, I can't remember what it's called, and the second album called Red House Painters with the roller coaster. Do you know those albums?
I know the bed one. I don't know the roller coaster one. I've heard that.
The roller coaster one. Yeah, that is hugely underrated, and that's a great album. And again, it was pretty big in England because again, the Enemy and the Melody Maker, both made it our top 5 albums of the year, and they were kind of a big deal. The roller coaster album by Red House Painters, I think it's called Red House Painters, but everyone calls it the roller coaster album. Is wonderful. It's kind of a bit like Low, a bit like Velvet Underground at their most acoustic, I suppose. You know, that kind of. I think you'd love it. I think people on the VC would love it. I don't see it shown a lot. I've got a copy over there actually on vinyl. It ain't the easiest find, but it came out on 4AD, which is probably why it's big in England because every American act who came on in 4AD would be huge in England. Like the Pixies, and still kind of unheard of in America to begin with. Like the Pixies were playing in front of 15,000 here and playing in front of 400 in America because of 4AD. But yeah, that Red House Painters, I'm always surprised that doesn't count. And I think they're hugely underrated. I know he's gone on to become fairly big as a solo act. I'm not sure.
I've seen him play once or twice, and he was riveting. Like kind of sometimes it was awful, sometimes it was brilliant. It was very raw and vulnerable. It was good.
Yeah, I know he can be quite a troublesome individual from what I've gathered. I don't know anything after his Red House Painters career at all. But the Red House Painters, they're a fantastic band, really fantastic band. The first EP and the first roller coaster album, underrated massively.
Great, got lots of homework to do after this.
Yeah, you need to hear that album.
Van Morrison or Jackson Browne?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, that's Van Morrison. I'm not a huge Van Morrison fan. I'm not a Jackson Browne. Jackson Browne, that would be an area that I wouldn't have much interest in. That's that kind of. Was he Los Angeles, San Francisco, singer-songwriter sort of thing? Yeah. That whole area is a little bit of a an area that I'm not massively into. I mean, I'm not even like a huge Joni Mitchell fan or something. So, yeah, Van Morrison. I'm hit and miss with Van Morrison. I actually like Astral Weeks. I love the one with the dogs on the cover. I love that album.
Hymns
That's
to the
amazing.
Silence.
What's that?
Hymns to the Silence.
No.
No. Oh,
Feed
I know
Fleece.
the one you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that record. Yeah.
Oh, you got to hear that record.
Oh, wait, you're talking
Man,
about Veed and
you
Fleece.
listen to any?
Veed and Fleece,
I'm
you mean?
teasing. Yeah, Veed and Fleece. You know that
Oh,
record.
I love that record.
Yeah, it's a great record. Yeah, it's soul-y, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I've got a bit of a struggle either with both bands. I either love them or hate them. But Van Morrison, I like about 25% of it, and don't like. It was quite. I've got a bit of an unusual mix with Van Morrison. Astral Weeks, I kind of love. Veed and Fleece, I love. A couple of the albums around Veed and Fleece, I kind of like. Later on, yeah, he loses me.
You're not a fan of his like late 70s, early 80s, like Into the Mystic and Poetry Champions, Compose, or
Into the Mystic's all right. I'll be honest, I haven't heard a lot, like Hard Nose to Highway, meditation-y stuff. I've not heard that. My gut feeling is I wouldn't be a massive fan, because if I thought I would, I probably would have heard it by now. I probably heard enough from other people who've said, I don't think you're going to get on with this. But Veed and Fleece, that's a fantastic album.
That's a great record.
That is a fantastic album.
Well, my next question you've already kind of half answered, but I got to be consistent. So Joni Mitchell or Aretha Franklin?
Yeah. Well, funny, I'm a huge soul fan, but I'm not a huge Aretha Franklin fan, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
In fact, I probably, if you're talking about albums, I am a massive soul fan, but I like deep soul. I've got lots of compilations. It tends to be a lot of female singers who just had one song and then it never was a hit, but they're brilliant. I'm not a huge Aretha fan. I do love Hissing of Summer Lawns by Joni Mitchell. That's one of my favorite. I love that album. I think it's fantastic. And there's not really an Aretha album that I love particularly. So I'm in a bit of a difficult position here, because in theory I do prefer pound for pound Aretha. It's almost a tie. It's almost a tie. But yeah, I'm almost tempted to say Joni, because there's no album that Aretha's done that's sort of had the effect on me that Hissing of Summer Lawns has, which I think is brilliant. Yeah. I think is a fantastic album.
Yeah, I agree. Great.
Let's go with Joni.
And last of the 10 questions, so 3 must-have desert island discs you would need to take with you on a desert island.
Are we talking what, albums, songs?
Could be songs, could be albums, whatever you just know that you would need to have with you to keep you content.
Yeah, okay, so let's try. I think I'd have to go with the ones that spring to mind. I would probably have to go with Hatful of Hollow by the Smiths, which is just one of those albums I always come back to. And I'm not one, normally I have quite a short lifespan with albums, even ones I love. I listen to them, and then after 2 months I'm done. So I think that would have to be there. I'd probably then have to have let's have a think. I'd probably then have to have probably Surfer Rosa by the Pixies, because I never really get bored of that. And I bought that day it came out. I always remember 21st of March, 1988. I don't know why I remember, but I always remember.
Wow.
Because it was the day before my birthday. That's why I remember. And it knocked my head off, that album, as soon as I heard it. And last one, I'll probably have to choose Motown. In England, we're Motown mad over here. Motown Hits of Gold Volume 3. Everyone knows it in England. It's got the silver cover. It's from the Glory era, 64 to 65. 20 Motown songs on it. It's one you see in charity shops here. Everyone in the UK knows Motown Hits of Gold Volume 3. Everyone's older brother used to have it when I was growing up. And it's brilliant. It's got the Temps on it, the Four Tops, Smokes, Martha Reeves, the Supremes, the Marvelettes. It's perfect.
Awesome choices. Just as an aside, my stepson and I went to Detroit a couple summers ago, and we went to the Motown Museum and basically the house, right? It was such an incredible experience.
I'm not an emotional bloke. I think I'd just be a blubbering wreck, to be honest. Motown is massive for me. And it is for a lot of people in England, probably more in England than America, in a funny, bizarre way. I mean, you think of all the post-punk acts that did Motown covers, like the Jam and Soft Cell and all that. But yeah, I've thought about it, and I thought I'd just be a mess. I wouldn't be able to take it. It means
That
such a lot to me,
and
Motown.
the
It really
influence
does
of the
mean a lot.
soul music that was in kind of like the, I can't remember what the era was, but basically that was in the soundtrack to Quadrophenia, the Who movie, like the stuff that
Yeah,
they were listening to, right?
yeah, that's where it comes from. Because when I was first getting into music, Quadrophenia had just come out, which was huge, and there was a big Motown revival. Really, we were all buying Motown singles as 8 or 9 year olds. I remember Needle in a Haystack by the Velvelettes. I mean, as soon as we heard that, we were like, man, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. We were picking these things up at car boot sales for 5 pence each. It was amazing. But yeah, Motown is such a huge part of my life. It's crazy. It's
You got to
crazy.
come over and visit
Oh man,
once
I'd
the
love to
tariffs
see
are
that.
over.
I'd love to. Yeah, don't go there.
Okay,
How
so
many have you
here,
done of these? Sorry, you keep
so,
going.
yeah, okay, so here are five. Again, that I've kind of actually it's five plus one, and the last
Mm-hmm.
one's a good one. So um,
Modest.
this is one I was going to put in my top, like on my 10, but I realized I'd already done a whole bunch of these before I did. So here we go.
Sure.
I'm going to paint you a scenario, well, a situation where you could be dropped into a music scene from any time in the past, and I want you to pick which one you want. So some examples, but not limited to the Laurel Canyon scene, the sort of CSN, Joni Mitchell, all that stuff. The UK first punk scene, so London, Clash, Sex Pistols, Damned, all that stuff. The New York City CBGB punk scene, Television, Ramones, Blondie, Dead Boys, all that stuff. Um, the Manchester, like Factory, Joy Division, Buzzcocks, all that stuff. The Manchester, Charlatans, Stone Roses, all of that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Pick a period in time when you would love to have been a part of.
Okay. Um, Probably because in a way I was kind of lightly a part of it, but the Manchester scene was incredible. This was obviously pre-internet and pre. We, I was part. I kind of felt part of it, but it was a phenomenal scene, and it just blew up. The Stone Roses album happened, and although it was, when you listen to that album, it's not. Do you know the Stone Roses album? Do you know it
I
well?
love that record.
But you wouldn't say it's a dance record, would you? You don't listen to
Well,
that thing.
except for
Not
Fool's
particularly.
Gold, I guess, but
Yeah, which wasn't on the UK one, but what they used to do was they used to play warehouses and have techno DJs, rave DJs. That's before they were even famous, and it was amazing. And it just blew dance music up. And then Happy Mondays came, and what I would have loved to have gone is to the club that Tony Wilson, head of factory, they did the hacienda. New Order paid for it about 1 million times over. It left them bankrupt. Opened it in '83, lost millions every week until about '88 when Acid House, which is essentially everyone off their head on drugs dancing to repetitive beats. And I never went to the Hacienda, and it was such a huge deal. It changed Britain. The Hacienda changed Britain. It changed everything. And dance music went berserk. So I was 200 miles away, but we never went there. And it was just phenomenal. And it was a great time. You were the first time in my life that I was part of something that gets written about. I missed punk by, I was too young. And then nothing really, the New Romantics, I lived through that, but this was just such a scene. It was incredible. And it changed, not the Stone Roses album probably changed British music in a way that the Sex Pistols did. It changed everything. Like suddenly the Smiths were forgotten about. It kind of led to Britpop, and like a lot of great bands, actually, what it influenced wasn't very good, in my opinion. I didn't really like it because I'm not an Oasis fan, but it changed everything. And Britain went dance music mad. Techno, rave, drum and bass. It was amazing. It was amazing. But I'd love to have been at the Hacienda. I've got so many books about the Hacienda, and it was amazing. It changed. It just changed Britain, and just clubs everywhere within about a year. Every city had a huge club, like as in a proper, not just a normal club. It would have a proper enormous club, and yeah, it was a phenomenal era. But I really regret never going to the Hacienda. Really do.
as
Uh,
somebody who's, thousands of miles away, but I used to read, the NME and things like that all the time and would drool over the band listings, the tours through the
Yeah.
UK of bands that
Yes.
didn't come to North America
Exactly.
and I was in Toronto, and I know this isn't quite the Manchester scene, or at least the part you're talking about, but I had
Yeah.
tickets to see Joy Division. They were going to play Toronto in their second
Crazy.
gig, and of
Crazy.
course, never made the tour. And I wish I'd kept my ticket and didn't get my refund. That would have been nice to have kept.
They,
Um,
they they played down the road. Well, they played in Bournemouth Winter Gardens, and there's a lot of old punks who live around here who went, and they said it was pretty amazing.
oh, I
And that was one
mean,
of the last Joy Division gigs. But yeah, there's not many people in the world who've seen Joy Division because Joy
no.
Division were playing to more than 400 people, 500 people. It's
Well, some of
crazy.
those recordings, like I can't remember where it was recorded, but the transmission one where Ian
Yeah,
Curtis is just like spastic, like he's having one of
yeah,
his epileptic fits, singing "Dance to the Radio," and it's just riveting to
yeah.
watch that.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's some great live stuff. Le Band's Douche recording from Amsterdam. I'll tell you, I don't know whether that's well worth listening to, but yeah, crazy. Not
yeah.
many people have seen Joy Division.
No.
They never.
And then the
It's
other thing for me was I was living in Tokyo in 1990 to 94, and a friend and I used to go out and get into trouble, and there was a nightclub there called The Cave, and they
yeah,
were like playing a lot of kind of the Manchester type stuff. So,
yeah,
Primal Scream, or not Primal Scream, but
yeah,
In Spiral Carpets and the
yeah,
Charlatans
yeah,
and Stone Roses.
yeah, yeah,
And we just had a
yeah.
ball, and that was about as close as I got to it.
It was a great time. It was a great time. It burnt bright and not for very long, but like all the best scenes do, don't they? It's
Yeah,
fantastic, and
better to burn
it
out
did
than to
change
fade
Britain.
away.
It did change Britain.
Okay, thank you. If you were to be a hugely successful rock star, what instrument would you have mastered?
Oh, but a bass. James Jamerson. James Jameson's the greatest. That's the Motown bass player who played on about 400 Motown top 40. He's just my hero. He's my absolute hero, James. He didn't even get invited to the Motown 20th anniversary. He didn't get invited. He had to buy his own ticket. Can you believe that?
Jesus.
And he died about a month later. He was troubled. He's the most genius guy. He invented modern music. James Jamerson, modern pop music. You listen to those English punk bands like the Undertones, the Buzzcocks, they're all using James Jamerson bass lines a lot of the time. That really, and bands like the Descendants, that all comes to me from Motown a lot of the time. Do you know what I mean? That real bibbity bobbity, really
Yeah.
high strung bass thing. I love.
Would
But yeah,
would
I'd love
was
to
it
be a bass.
Foxton? Was his as well? The Jam?
Yeah, I mean, he would have loved James Jamerson because
Yeah.
they were obsessed. Well, yeah, I mean, a Town Called Malice, the opening bass line is a
Yeah.
complete takeoff of Martha Eve and the Vandellas. They've literally copied it, which would
Yeah.
have been played by James Jamerson. So yeah, I can't remember what the Martha Reeve track is, but I'm Ready for Love. I got a feeling. I think it's I'm Ready for Love. But yeah, all the English punks were obsessed by Motown, and a lot of them were obsessed by James Jamerson. I think, and I am. I think he's the greatest. I go onto YouTube and listen to James Jamerson isolated, and I can listen to him all day. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing. But
So
yeah,
everybody
and I love
knows you're into the 12-inch singles. Sorry to keep moving along, but you're into
that's
12-inch
all right.
singles. So what artist do you feel, as far as your knowledge and or collection, has the best run of 12-inch singles?
That's tricky. New Order. New Order were pretty phenomenal. I mean, they went Everything Goes Green, which is incredible track. They invented indie dance, in my opinion. More influential than Blue Monday in a kind of a way.
I
But
like
then
it
Blue
more.
Monday, yeah, Blue Monday, which I was actually never the biggest Blue Monday fan from it. I do love it, but the Beach on the Flip I love, which is Blue Monday but without the vocals. And then they had, Bizarre Love Triangle, Perfect Kiss. I mean, these were like symphonies. This was like you listen to like Perfect Kiss, which is like 11 minutes, I think, on the 12, and it's like kind of Phil Spector if he listened to Detroit House, and you know what I mean, and
Mm.
taken a few E's. It's just that Perfect Kiss is amazing. Have you ever seen the video of it on when they do it live in a recording? Oh man, it's the
No.
greatest thing. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and yeah. So New Order, I think, yeah, yeah, New Order probably because the 12-inch complements them. Whereas, say, the Smiths, they sound great on a 7 or not, but with electronic music, you need the room to breathe because you got the bass and the kick drum, so you need the space on a 12-inch. But those new order 12s from about 82 to 86 are incredible. Yeah, sound incredible.
You already told a story about meeting a famous musician before they were famous, but do you have another story? Just because this is the question I had asked later, but a story of meeting a famous musician. Any other one?
I've I've not I've not really I've not really met any. We went to see. We got a pub down the road called the Joiners Arms, and it's actually quite legendary. It's what's known in the UK as the toilet circuit. In the days when the UK weeklies were very powerful, they would kind of like Oasis would be a good example. They would make Oasis big. Really, they put out a limited edition 7-inch single to get the excitement going, and then what they would do is they would get the band to tour the toilet circuit, which would be pubs that took about 100 people, and because then you get the headlines in the weeklies, and there'd be a buzz because obviously there'd be chaos. The gigs would be chaos and the Joiners is a legendary gig. It's Oasis have played there. Radiohead have played there. It only takes 80 people, 90 people. But and I saw Coldplay there, and I really hate Coldplay. But yeah, we went to Coldplay, and they were actually supporting someone. And yeah, we kind of chatted to the band a little bit. I just thought they were dreadful, and my mates who I took just thought they were the great. They knew already they were going to be amazing. This was in 2000. I think it was May 2000. I think Yellow hadn't been released yet. And they came out they came out playing intro music, which no one does at the Joiners. You know, that's like you just don't do that. They put a globe on their speaker and went, "We are going to be touring the world." And I'm looking at my mates like, these guys are idiots. But we did have a chat with them afterwards, and I don't really know which one I was talking to. I think I was talking to the drummer because he's from Southampton, the drummer, and I'm a big Southampton supporter, football club, and he is as well. I think I chatted to him about football for about 5 minutes. But I remember saying to my mates, well, we're never going to hear from those guys again. And like 8 months later, they're playing the LA Enormo Dome. But do you know what? You could tell that they were. I've never seen a more confident band. And I've been to the Joiners a million times. And I've seen bands at events. I've saw the Charlatans at the Joiners. But you wouldn't have known they were going to be big. These guys, their confidence was insane. They were support in front of 70 people. And they just strode out like, we're going to be the biggest band in the world. And they were the biggest band in the world about a year later.
And you lost your opportunity to be an A&R man.
Yeah, I know. But I did chat to the drummer. I'm pretty sure it's the drummer. And if I remember right, he was a nice guy. Because, as I say, at the Joiners, you walk through the crowd to get on the stage. So they walked off, and we were at the bar. The bar is literally where you stand. And then he went to get a pint, and I was chatting away to him. I was going, "Oh, yeah, good gig, mate." But there you go. Yeah, I chatted to the drummer from Coldplay.
Awesome. Tell me what you would say you would recommend as a great rock biography or autobiography or a music documentary that people should see.
Oh, there's loads. I mean, I've got a library of music books over there. I wouldn't even know where to start. But the one who's the band? The American band Psych. Dig. Do you know the documentary?
Brian
Dig?
Jonestown Massacre.
It's just being reissued. It's the best thing ever. And I like reading books or watching films about bands I don't particularly like. I don't, you know, and I'm not a big Brian Jonestown fan. I'll be honest. It's not, to me, it sounds like a lesser version of what was going on in England around the shoegaze kind of era or Stone Roses. And
yeah,
that is the greatest thing ever.
Watching a band implode.
Do you like it?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. They broke my sitar, man. That's the best thing ever. Yeah, and I love that.
The idea of having like a tambourine guy who doesn't even do backup vocals be like almost Joel, the lead of the band.
He's brilliant. That guy Joel is the funniest dude I've ever seen in my life. He just wanders through the whole film off his nut, doesn't he? He ain't got a clue what's going on half the time. Like, oh, they've not plugged my tambourine in, or something. Like, well, you don't plug it in.
I went to a music festival that only drew about 300 or 400 people in Joshua Tree in outside Los Angeles, and Joel Guion was one of the people performing. It was Luna among other bands, and he read some of his poetry and he was just fucked out of his mind and it was just mumbling and it was completely unintelligible. And all I could think of was, it's so good that he's not putting on an act. It's just really him.
He's on stage with his tambourine and there's a fight breaking out and he's so off his pickle he ain't got a clue and he starts beating up his own band because I don't think he even knows what's going on. It's the best thing ever, and it is, if anyone, it's being re-released I think, but with extras, so well worth getting.
I'm due for a rewatch, especially if there's some new material.
Yeah. Hopefully there is. In terms of books, I mean, there are so many, but there was a great book about Creation Records, which was called My Eyes Are My Hungry Eyes. My eyes are hungry for the my magpie eyes are hungry for the prize, and it was by Dave Callaghan, who's one of the greatest, sadly committed suicide, one of the great English music writers of all time. And it was basically creation from 81 to Oasis. It's a huge book, 700, fantastically researched. It was amazing. Alan McGee wanted to sue him, which is always a good sign. So, because he's obviously the head of creation, always a good sign when the head of he wants to sue you, because he was basically telling the truth. It's a wonderful book. If you want to know the history of English indie music, and it's been re-released. It was very hard to get hold of. They deleted it quite quick, maybe because of the legal implication. It's now come out again. I think it's known as the Creation Record Story, and you can get it quite easily now. If you've got any interest in it, and the stories are amazing and heartbreaking. The story about the House of Love, and the turmoil and the mismanagement, and attempted suicides, and it's the story of Loveless, My Bloody Valentine, almost bankrupting the label, and Alan McGee had to borrow $200,000 off his dad's retirement fund to get Loveless out, and it is one of the great books I've ever read of music. It's the best I've ever read, to be honest. It's brilliant. And I think it's out now as the Creation Record Story or something, but it's brilliant.
I will check that out.
Dave Kavanagh is the writer, and he's brilliant. He's a brilliant writer.
Thank you. Last question for you. What's the meaning of life?
Oh God. I think I definitely wasn't prepared for this one. Okay. What is the meaning of life? I don't know. Well, my mate always said, and he used it as a life lesson. My mate was a guitar player, and he always said, if you look after the fat strings, the thin strings will always look after themselves. Never knew what he meant, but he always used to say it whenever I was like, mate, I'm having a bad day. He'd go, just look after the fat strings and the thin strings. And I never knew. So maybe he's somewhere in there, is the meaning of life. I don't know if he meant bass or lead guitar, because he played both. I guess he meant bass, maybe. I'm not sure.
It's vague enough that people can make it mean whatever the heck they want.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for your time. And, one of the reasons I did this was really just so I could meet people that I really enjoy watching and hearing about their, what they like. And so it's been a pleasure to meet you, Harris. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you reached out. So we don't know each other really, and it's been wonderful. Again, everyone I meet on the VC is just wonderful, including yourself. So yeah, fantastic.
Well, we'll catch you on the flip side. And when I get to London, and I will one day, I will definitely look you up and we can go for a pint.
You better have, definitely.
All the best to you.
No worries, mate. All right, take care.
Thank you. Bye.